Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sorry if I seem a little out of it. I am. There's been a droning sound all night. I don't usually use the headphones, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hear this the whole time. My autistic brain cannot tune that out. So I was like, we'll just use the headphones, which I've never done with this computer. So I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine.
Sorry about that. I was like, oh no.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you for willing to do this.
Of course. Are you in
Yeah.
Minnesota? You said you're in Minnesota, was that right? Or Michigan?
Yeah. No, I'm just outside of Minneapolis.
Okay, I'm from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
they just had a blizzard like yesterday, I think. So I was like, oh, the sweater's so cute, but it's probably like freezing.
How how often do you come up here? How
Not even
often?
a little. Like since I moved in like years and years and years ago, I've never been back because I don't have family there. Like my whole family lives in Germany. It was just my mom and I. So
Oh,
I
okay.
have not been back in a long time, but I've been to Minneapolis. I almost went to school there, but
Oh.
had a stroke. You know, the usual.
Yeah. Well, so I know from the beginning, what inspired you to get into acting was Kingdom Hearts or Billy Zane's performance.
That's so funny that you did your research. Oh, now I'm scared. Yeah, I remember being, God, I don't even know how I was in like I was teeny teeny tiny when Kingdom Hearts came out, and I just remember like associating the name in the credits, and he Ansem was my buddy, my favorite. He got like 2 seconds of screen time, but yeah, I don't know, like I just made the association, and I was like, oh, and I've actually met Billy Zane since, which was really adorable.
Yeah, I saw the some story about you guys hung out at an art gallery, something like
He
that.
has, I mean, I'm assuming I'm allowed to say this because there was other people. He has like an art gallery, and we went at like 2 o'clock. Like I had a friend that knew him,
Oh,
and I was like, "You what? Like, are you?" He posted something. This was before COVID, and he's like, "I'm like having lunch today with Billy Zane. If anybody wants to come." And I was like, "Are like, is this a joke? Like, do you what? Yes." And he took us to his like art gallery. By the time it was, I mean, we had like dinner or something, but it was like 1 in the morning, and we were just walking around like it's very weird. He's
wow.
very
Yeah.
interesting. He's very interesting. He's very regal.
Hmm.
I feel like, I don't know. I felt kind of out of place at the restaurant. It was very fancy.
And then in terms of professional credits, well, for voice acting, Wing Commander Saga was that the first thing that you did?
Yeah, and that was like from my bed, like hospitalized,
Wow.
like from my bed. I had like my stuff like not I'm not in the hospital, like at home, but it was when I was still like in and out, and yeah, I was like in a bed when I did that. I had like built stuff around my bed and I would like record. Not good for
Were you,
breast support, by the way. I don't recommend it.
were you doing voiceover gigs like that for quite a while then? At that point?
Like the like smaller, not like super well-known stuff, yeah. And I just like I mean, I had lost everything at that point, so I feel like once I was I don't even want to say back on my feet, but like once I was able to move, I moved to Dallas and started doing VO and got an agent, and it just sort of snowballed from there. But yeah, that was I was people are like, how do you get into voiceover? I'm like, do not ask me because
Was I know this is on camera too, but around the same time was Battlegrounds how you got into SAG?
no. That I mean I was like an extra in that. I don't even know. I think I like probably sneezed or something. I don't know. I had almost no what like I'm shocked that that's even like on IMDb because I'm like, why? Like it's I
Okay.
did that I actually did I want to say before I had the stroke because there's no way I could have been on a set at that point in my life. I want to say I did that before because as I was looking at like theater schools and stuff, like I lived in Madison, which is right by UW, and that's where it was shooting. And I think I just happened to like be on campus that day when they were taking like applications to help work on it from like the theater department. I don't it was yeah, that's really weird that that's on IMDb though. I'm like, please, like
So was it not until you moved to LA that you got into SAG then?
Yeah. I'm trying to
Yeah.
like, I don't remember like the whole, yeah.
Well, because I read too that your first starring role when you got to LA was on NCIS.
Starring, you're so kind. Yeah, I was a co-star. Yeah, but I got to meet LL Cool J, which was really adorable. And that was in such a cool location. That was out by like, what are they called? Not Estes Rock. It's like the rock formations where they shot like the original Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like we like the like transpo department, like we went by all of that, and I was like, this is amazing. So it was really, really cool.
Are you the kind of person do you get starstruck by like who you're working with or not really?
No. I mean, like I'm like respective of like how far people have come and like what they've accomplished, but especially because I don't see the way most people see, I'm just like
Oh
you're
right.
you're a human. You're a human. Hello. I did though with Billy Zane a little because I was just so it was like weird that
Hmm.
someone I knew for so long had known him for so long and I didn't know about it. That was weird.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, it is interesting because the way that even though I'm a huge anime person, the way that I discovered your work was actually through C for me, like seeing that movie first.
Yeah,
Um, and I know that you've heard this a lot too, but you were just so phenomenal in that.
thank you. That was a ride. I was shot
Mhm.
over the course of COVID. That was a ride.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Do you think you prefer working on more dramatic projects then over comedic or
That so highly depends on like the script. Like
okay?
I cannot like if you have a dramatic project that's like I don't love working I just won't on like really bloody gore or like horror for the sake of horror. If there's a story, that's like great, but like I don't love working on that kind of thing. I would say I prefer, excuse me, dramatic, but like there's a lot of really well-written comedy stuff out there. So I'd say that's a case by case basis. I don't think there's a broad strokes answer for that.
What do you think the case for anime that you've had to get the darkest headspace for, if there is one?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question, and I just don't have an answer. Um, I don't know about dark, but as far as like touching on like stuff that I've been through personally, and it was a teeny tiny character. I worked on like 3 episodes of, was it Sword Art
Oh,
Online?
Frenica?
Yeah, where she's got like the sexual abuse kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
Like I remember like crying a little bit for that because I've been through that kind of stuff personally. And so I was just like, oh, I just happened to get the one that's like, been through this. So I wouldn't say like dark, but it was very like like uncomfortable.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that I would think that that would be one of the first like anime roles that you got in LA too.
I had worked on probably like a handful. My like sense of time doesn't exist, but that was a while ago. So yeah, because I know I worked on, I want to say one of the first was like Hunter x Hunter, but
Yep.
yeah, I don't know the timeline of it, but I just remember that one being like, oh, this is
Hmm. Well, Shomin Sample was your debut, right?
that, yeah, God, what a crazy show. That was an insane ride. Aaron Dismuke is such a good director though. He was so funny. I loved it.
Did you take the dubbing easier, or was it harder to get used to for you?
It's hard. It was hard, like visually, especially because I didn't tell anybody that I was visually impaired because I was afraid that would mean I wouldn't get work.
So,
Um, but it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like grueling. I mean, you get used to it. It's between I don't know which I prefer. What's a little bit harder for me is like the rhythmo band, which is what they actually used on Komi. Um,
oh yeah,
that's a different dubbing process than just like the beep 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 go and we'll check it after. Like it's so nice because you can just see the timing so well, but it's also so like anxiety inducing for me.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing that, because I remember hearing about the way that the original Sailor Moon was dubbed using the Rhythmo band, and I didn't think
Yeah.
people use that as much anymore.
It's like certain studios will use it, and I get it. Like it's very, if like I get why they use it, but it's just really, it's like one more thing to watch when you're already like script screen, like multiple screens, and then you've got the band and the words at the like moving at the, it's just very, it's a lot to watch for me, but I
Hmm.
understand why they use it. Like it, like timing wise, it's very helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
I think this was a Texas-based dub too, but just because I'm such a fan of the franchise, it was cool that you got to
course.
be in Samurai Warriors Kunoichi.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's like nobody, I feel like not many people talk about that one, which is fine, but I yeah, that was a hot minute ago. I loved her little like squirrel,
Oh, right.
her little her little flying squirrel.
I know Luck and Logic would have been that same time frame too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that one had such cool, I don't know who like did the artwork for it, what studio, but that one had really cool character designs. And I remember like coming to Anime Expo, like that was my first time like flying alone since the Vision issue, and I remember coming and they just had like cardboard standees of her everywhere, but I couldn't like talk about it, or like I didn't want to take a picture by it because like it wasn't out yet.
Yeah,
It was so sad.
I'm sure this is obvious to ask too, but even before getting into voice acting, were you always like a really big anime person?
I feel like I used to be just infinitely more into it than I am now, probably because I work in it.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, I grew up watching, like, you start with like Pokemon and Card Captor Sakura and stuff like that, and like it just sort of grew with games and stuff. Yeah, I was always a big cartoon person.
I'm sure going back to the Kingdom Hearts Billy Zane thing, I know it's kind of related, but I'm
Mhm.
sure it had to be really cool to become Renoa.
That, like, I can't even still like
Belief.
talk about it like without crying, especially because there's like other stuff that I can't talk about that's happening, and I'm excited about it. But yeah, that like not only was that like how does she not have a voice by now? Because that
Right.
game came out like I think I was like two. Like I don't know exactly, but I'm just like, how does she not have something by now? And also like that came at a point in my life that was so fucking hard that I was just like, I needed this. Like I needed this.
Do you think that that's I don't know, like your biggest like wish list kind of role so far?
Yeah, like emotionally. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. Yeah.
It was cool to see um all the different reaction to when she came out about like I know because people were forgetting that she was actually 16 and not like in her late 20s, so your voice
So, and
works
I
well.
actually like said like while we were, I'm assuming I can say this, like I like while we were recording, I was like, do we want her to, because it was very polarizing. Like people really liked it or really didn't like it. And I was like, I too assumed she was like maybe like 24 or 25. And they're like, no, 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 we want like 15, 16-year-old, like happy girl. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's your baby, that's the client, that's what you want. And I wish I could say more about other stuff, but I'm under NDA.
You get to use your natural voice for most of your roles still, don't
No,
you? Oh, you don't?
no,
Okay.
no. I would say Najimi, whoa, I just impaled myself, is probably the closest to like my natural speaking voice. But I feel like the majority that I wind up working on do not use my natural voice. Which is like, okay, like that's like I've that if that's what gets cast, that's what gets cast. I don't care.
It might be hard to pick one, but what do you think is the case where you've had to alter your voice the most significantly for anything?
It never came out. I worked on it for 3 years with motion capture and it never came out.
Oh wow.
So that one aside, because I still apparently can't talk about it, even though it's not coming out. Um, I mean, I've done like accents that I don't have, like Punishing Grey Raven. They wanted a more British accent. As far as like, I don't know. I don't have a good like. I don't tend to do like monstery, like creepy voices, although like I have, but it didn't come out. I had another one that didn't come out, and I was so sad because I got to be like this like southern cowboy like or cowgirl like bounty hunter character that was just so cool, and it just never. It's been happening a lot the last couple of
Oh,
years, and it's really sad. Like game
hmm.
companies are, and at first I didn't understand it, and then it was explained to me that if it just doesn't come out at all, because I was like, you've already spent the money, like why not release it and make something? But if they don't release it at all, they can write it off as like a total loss on taxes.
Oh
So
yeah.
that makes, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Shoot. So,
Well, it is related to that too. I always like asking voice actors what the process is for whenever they do boy voices or like child voices.
oh yeah, that's exciting. Um, yeah, because I have had a couple of those where it's like a little boy voice. I mean, it's just I don't even know how to like describe it. For me, it's like a pushing almost like sensation. I don't know how to there's not really like a process that I go through. It's just it comes out sounding nasally is not the right word. Like and not even lower, just more like like tensed and like gruff, but not in like a like animalistic way. I don't know if that makes sense. Like there's just
Yeah.
like a lot of like tension to do like the for me like those like little boy voices. Little girl is like easy for me, but like yeah. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah.
Just describing technique pristinely.
And this was touching on I know you mentioned about not being a fan of like very violent kind of projects, but it was cool that you got to be in Berserk.
Oh yeah, which was like, and I mean like when I that kind of translates to cartoons. That was more of like an on-camera comment. I'm not super thrilled about all of the
Oh
weird like horror stuff that's been coming out the last couple of years, but yeah, Berserk. I mean, I didn't watch that version of it through, but that's a really intense show. But thankfully, my character was in pretty benign scenes. Like she
yeah.
just kind of follows him, you know, like it's pretty safe. She's not like one of the guys with the like going off killing everybody. But
Mhm.
yeah, that was an intense show.
Are you more comfortable with like horror anime then? If you've watched anything like that, or
I mean, I like as a person in my own spare time, I don't watch a lot of anything because of the screen time. But yeah, I don't seek out stuff like that intentionally. I think if I want to go watch a horror film, you can just look at what's happening in the world.
yeah,
Truly,
essentially,
like I don't know that like we need that to be added to humanity right now. I think that we're in a pretty weird place as it is, and I do believe that what you consume affects you, whether you're aware of it or not. So I don't know. I struggle with that stuff a lot.
so was the way that you first met Michael Sorich through working on
Oh, the
Killing
director.
Slimes? Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. First, first occurrence of the So Rich. He's so funny. He's such a sweet guy. That show was so like it was so sweet and so weird.
Right.
The fact that she was like this like office worker who works herself to death, I feel like a lot of people can resonate with just working yourself too hard. But that was so weird because that was the first show that I recorded when everything was like sort of kind of coming to back in studio. So it was just really weird, like how everything had to be like wiped down and there was like a block of time in between actors and like they could only do like one a day. Like it was just a weird experience overall, but it was such a cute show. Like I'm glad it was pretty well received for the most part.
Yeah.
Because I had never heard of it until I read for it. I was like, I don't know what this is. Apparently it had a bigger following than I thought.
Do you watch much of the anime that you are in as well?
No. No. I will, yeah, like I will listen to maybe sometimes like an episode or two just to see like, okay, how did it turn out? Like, what could we have done better? What did we do well? What did, like not overanalyze it to death, but just like to see like what was received. And I do this with like games too. Like, were people happy? Did they enjoy it? Were they having fun? But I don't tend to like watch through stuff that I've worked on. Maybe in Japanese.
Everyone else that I talked to that had played central roles in Komi was just auto cast by Michael. Was that your case too?
Yes and no. I read for it. Like I did audition. And when I came in, I was like, "So did you like my audition?" And he's like, "What audition?" And I was like, "I read for this role and I like kind of wanted it." And he's like, "Oh, like I heard it and the team agreed with me, but he's like, I read the description and I was like, this is Skyler." Because they're never like, he's like, they're really ADD and they're just like a little androgynous like jokester. I'm like, this is you. And I was like, oh, like good to know. So I mean, like I did read for it and like the studio did hear it. So I guess I don't really know in that case. Like obviously he might have said like, hey, may I cast this person? And they listened to the read and they were like, okay, go ahead. So I didn't know that that was the case for like the majority of the cast though, because
Yeah.
I never interact
So,
with people that I work with. Like,
right.
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure it
funny.
was super easy for you to relate to Najimi.
Oh my God, so much. So much. That's such a zany, like funny character. And like they're so loud. Those were kind of like tiring sessions, but so worth it. They're so funny.
Do you think is there somebody else that you've played in anime that you relate more to, or do you think it's probably them?
Um, oh, this is funny because it's like current. Uh, Not in the grouchy, off-putting way, but Citlali.
Yeah.
In Genshin, yeah, where she's just like alone all the time and like mystical and like does all this like stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, this is yep. Like there was something that came up in a recording session like a while ago where they mentioned some really obscure like esoteric something. I can't remember what it was. God damn it. And they're like, yeah, nobody's gonna know what this is. And I'm like, I know what that is. He's like, so do you know how to read the line? I'm like, yeah. So like there's so much stuff with her where I'm just like, I mean, not the drinking and not the, she's really angry at other people, but I just feel like there's like a a loneliness in her, like a weirdness and a loneliness where I'm like, I got you. I got you. I know where you're coming from.
Well, back to Komi. Is there a favorite moment you have with Najimi in the series?
God, it's been like 2 years since I recorded. I'm sure there was so many. A lot of people have sent me the scene with like the teddy bear where they go gift shopping for her.
Yeah.
That's not my favorite, but I remember like getting the clip and being like, oh, this is kind of funny. I loved there was something with like a snowball fight
Yep.
and we were trying to match like the Japanese of like the sound that Najimi makes, and I'm just like, there's no way this is coming from a human because it just sounded like a machine gun. Like it was just like I mean we matched it, but it was so weird to record that yeah, I don't think I could pick a favorite moment with Najimi because there's just I don't remember it well enough, but there was just so many times where I'm like, who is writing this?
All the personally all the interactions that she has with Yamai, Christina V's character.
Oh, that's the crazy one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all like that's the really,
Crazy.
really crazy one. But like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. And like the video game where they were playing like the Super Smash Bros.
Yep.
That's what it looked like. But yeah, oh my gosh, that was so weird. So many weird moments. Oh, no, I do have a favorite. So there was at least 3 or 4 occasions because I remember people were like, "How can you talk this fast?" And I'm like, "I think I just always talk too fast." Where Najimi will rattle off like a food order, like a
Yep.
Subway or a Starbucks, and like, "I want an extra this, blah 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 blah," and she like they will just talk for like 3 minutes, rattling off this thing. Or like the rules of a game, those were probably my favorite. Those were really stressful, but those were probably my favorite because it was just so funny to, especially having worked at a Starbucks at one point. Like I was like,
Yep.
yeah, this is how it goes. Those are probably my favorite. The ordering of like the Starbucks and the I don't know what they called it, not Subway. They had like some other, like Whack-donalds and Subway and
Yeah.
whatnot,
Yeah.
whatever they call it, where she's like, go order me I don't know.
Right. It's cool too with Najimi that of course the Japanese take is a lot more deeper, but it seemed like the fandom agreed more with your take.
I mean, I'm glad. Yeah, they just wanted like not too boy, not too girl, please. I was like, okay. And he was happy with what we did, so that's all that matters is that their little
Well, it
babies
sounded like,
sound the way they want them to.
yeah. Well, it sounded like you've had like a good amount of interaction with the fandom for that show.
Yeah, I mean, like more around the time that it was coming out.
Hmm.
Because again, like I never know how big or how small something is. Like when I work on it, I try not to look those things up ahead of time because it might just make me nervous. Um, but Komi was like gigantic, and then it won like best comedy, I think. It would something when it came out, and so I was just like, oh, I didn't realize that this many people watched it, which makes sense. It's kind of a really adorable, like endearing show about like all these social issues. Like
Right.
having trouble with like social anxiety. I'm like, I get it. I get it.
Are you friends with very many other people in the cast?
No, in fact, I don't think well, Kira's in it, right?
Yep.
Like briefly. I like generous acquaintances with her. Kira is adorable. I love her. I hope her, what is it? The car, the DeLorean. Hope it's working. She finally got her like dream Back to the Future car and it's been having problems. I Kira, like I'm not like I've like hung out with her or anything, but she's just so sweet and adorable. And I met Amber once back in Texas. She needed like a very immediate like, can you do like a fantasy Norse Irish-ish accent for like this elf in my game? And I was like, yeah. Like that was the extension of like the interaction, and I went in and I worked at her for like an hour at her studio, and back when it was still in Dallas. I was still in
Oh, Sound
Dallas.
Cadence.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So but other than that, I don't get out much. I don't know people.
So then, with Citlali, I know I've seen a lot of like sweet interactions with you, commenting back on people tagging you and just like saying how you're like the highlight of Not One so far.
Now that they fixed the audio.
Yeah.
There was a major, it wasn't me, it wasn't the studio, it was what happened was there was just, I can't really say too much. I've never worked on a deadline more insane than that first patch. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh
And
wow.
it was a compression issue. It was just things had to be done faster than the speed of light, not kidding. And it was a compression issue. It was an odd, which like, ugh, I don't know what to say. That situation was dicey. Um, but yeah, I try. That's why I keep a Twitter. Like I'm not on social media except for Twitter or X or whatever it is. And I check it like every 3, 4, 5 days, like once a week maybe. I try to like, that's why I keep it is so that people can like have one place to like interact or something. And I get so many sweet comments and I try to respond to all of them. And I hope I'm seeing all of them. Like there was someone who was like, my birthday is, you know, on the 12th, like, can I get a shout out? And I set an alarm in my phone, like, remember to like message so and so on Twitter on the 12th. Because I just like,
That's so nice.
I just feel like the world needs it. Like, that's the only reason I keep a Twitter is like to respond to people. And I know, I'm sure that I've missed plenty, but I do my best so that people can have one place to get a smile. I don't know, make
Yeah,
them laugh, something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think do you relate more to Citlali or March 7th, do you think?
Oh my gosh. Like both. Like Citlali for sure, but March, I love her like just innocent naiveness. Like I just love that so much. The cutesy part, I'm like I don't that's not really me in real life, but I love how innocent she is and I love how she just like she's like the butt of so many like she's I don't want to say the butt of so many jokes, but like she's in so many comedic moments or she instigates intentionally or unintentionally so many like comedic moments that I'm just like we need this. There I get so many comments too for March where they're just like she heals me, man. And I'm like she's just so the writing is just so funny and ridiculous sometimes. So yeah, I love Marchie. She's my little baby.
I loved getting to see the the most recent skin that she got with the whole
Oh yeah, people went
yeah, nuts
cuckoo
for
for
that.
coconuts over that. Yeah, that was really interesting. I love like the bubble tea,
Oh right.
the action, like the I don't know if it's she's like healing you or whatever, but she's like, Master, have some tea. Because I've got boba tea like right here. That
Yeah.
part is me. Not milk tea, but I'll do jasmine tea any day.
Has there been a single standout moment for you with March so far?
Over like 2.5, 3 years of recording. Oh my God, yeah. There's a line that was on my old demo where this was like many moons before I booked March that was in like that same kind of voice and it was word for word a line that she wound up having in the game. And
Oh,
I was very like, what? Like I like wrote that demo. So there was no way, at least it was like 7 years before. This was like when I had
yeah.
just started and it was in that voice. And I remember like standing in the booth and being like, what is happening? Like the engineer was like, are you okay? You have a weird look on your face. I'm like, I swear to God, like I've said this line before in this voice, and I on my phone pulled it up and played it, and we were just like, that's very odd. So that and that was pretty early on in recording. And I don't know if the line, like if the wording got changed a little bit, but she was talking about like how they found her, like in the ice, and she like felt like an alien and like isolated and whatever. And I was just that was on like my very first demo in the March voice, and I was like, that is weird. Also, I feel like I should talk about this now that I know. I didn't know for like a year and a half that I was like a recast for the March that was in the tested game. I had
Oh yeah.
no clue until like a year and a half into recording. And I was like, oh my God, because this has happened to me where there's like a recast and like the original is like not told and it's happened in a very weird way. And I was just like, oh my God. And I felt so bad. I was like, do I reach out to the original? Like, I wanted to like, fuck, I didn't, I had no clue. And I was like, oh, but after a year and a half, it seems like, okay, that would just be like, they're over it. Like, they don't want to hear, you know, about, I was like, oh, okay. So I was just like, I'm so fucking sorry. Like, I had no clue that that went on and I felt so bad. And I hope they like give her an alternative because I don't know the person.
Yeah.
But I found out like through the grapevine, like a year and a half, the game had come out. Sitting here like totally oblivious because I'm not online. And I just felt so bad. So I was just like, man, I really hope they like give her like an alternative character, maybe that she's like more suited for. Because I've been on the receiving end of those level of like recast after you've got the role, like the fish is in the boat and then it flops out, and it's just those suck. I mean, it's part of the industry, but those suck. And I would have loved to have like in some way just given that person a hug because I like not that that would help, but you know, like I just felt I felt so bad, and then I didn't know for a year and a half, and it felt weird to address it after that. And I was just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like I wish I had known and like been able to because that's never a good feeling. That's happened to me. So,
Mhm.
shit. The client
I,
wants what the client wants, and it's okay.
yeah. Well, I have heard from a lot of people lately that are part of the new Genshin cast that they had been auditioning or like came close to getting playable characters several other times in the
Mm.
past. If that was the case with you too,
With Star Rail?
with Genshin.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say this like with so much delic not delicacy, that's food, like delicateness. I was auditioning a shit ton for Genshin for a very, very long time. And then stopped for almost 2 years because they were specifically seeking Swana, Maina, POC.
Yeah,
Like that was in the character breakdown. So I was like, okay, like not gonna touch that. Like I don't do that. So didn't read for like 2 years because what I was getting was all like that. And then after that sort of like petered out, I just never went back to reading for it. And I got the breakdown for Citlali not knowing, like everything is coded now. You have
yeah,
no clue what you're reading for. There was no art, there was no name, everything was a code name. The script was partially blotted out. I had no idea what it was. And I just did it because the first round they were like, hey, like I know she's a witch, but we don't want her to sound like wicked witchy. Like we just want her to sound whatever. So they did a second round of auditions. I didn't participate in the first. I did the second, and like 24 hours later they were like, hey, we love this read. Can you do it in a different voice but like the way you did it? And I did that, and then they booked me. So that one was, I didn't know that it was Genshin. Like I had no idea, which was fun when the whole controversy around that happened because I was like, oh, I didn't know what I was reading for, and there was no like there was no warning. I was just like thrown into it, so I felt very very bad about all of that. But here we are. I'm glad that people are enjoying the game. So
it does sound like her and March are just more affected versions of your natural voice.
yeah, I mean, see, Lolly's definitely closer. March is more like cute and adorable. Yeah, just tweak it a little.
Is there a for a Citlali, is there a default line that you have to get into her headspace?
No. I mean at the beginning of every session I always, and they do this anyway, I ask for like a play and repeat to, because when you work on multiple projects with characters that sound very different, I don't want them to start bleeding into each other. So I always ask like to play from a couple, sessions back lines that she has said, and they'll do, some play and repeat and kind of play with it. And that part of it really helps me like get back into where we're doing. Also, see, Lolly, when I record for her, because I don't think I do this for too many other characters. When I record, I cross my arms.
Oh,
Like to get, to like it's not good, like for like neck and shoulder tension, but just to keep her like grouchy sass, like I don't know why that just started happening, and I was like, okay, this is like, so I guess I do something to get in the headspace. I just go yeah, that's funny.
was that like difficult acting wise to do all the drunk stuff, or was that pretty
No,
easy
that
for?
was
Okay.
funny. That was funny. Like the burping and stuff. I was insistent. I was like, can we please burp? Because I burp all the time anyway. Like the engineers know me. And there was times where they were laughing pretty hard. They're like, Skyler, I can't do what I need to do to record you if I'm like laughing like this. So I was like, good.
What do you think? Because I just talked to Nathan Noakes, who's the voice of Oran.
My baby.
Yeah,
from the moment that we like, because I've never met him, obviously, sadly,
Right.
unfortunately. From the moment that that came up in the script, I was just like, this is partly me in real life. The way he talks to like his vegetables and his plants. I don't know if you can see it. I've got like a grow light with ass tons of stuff.
Oh,
But
cool.
I have plants like lined along my balcony and my window. I like propagate them and like I just do all kinds of stuff. I like talk to trees. I hug them. I have full conversations. I look nuts to the people around me. And like the way that he was like talking to like his like or like his cabbages or whatever the fuck it was, where he's like, I know you're gonna grow up to be like a big, beautiful, round cat, whatever he says. I was like, this is me. We can't be angry at him. Like I just loved, I was not expecting that from like, like the kind of like hot topic-y vibe he's got going on.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting like talking to cabbages, man, and I was just like, oh no. He's probably my favorite because he's just so like his little aphids and his little like I'm like, this is me. This is me. It made me feel very bad to like beat him up.
Well, I was just about to ask, yeah, what your thoughts were on their relationship.
It's so adorable and people are going for it, sometimes
Hmm.
in weirder directions than I would like. But like I just think it's very endearing. I think it's cute. And I just love that he's so like mopey isn't the right word, but it's such a weird contrast. Like Citlali is so loud and so like usually like ruffled and he's just so like, okay, sorry. I didn't mean it. It's so funny. But she still protect him.
What do you think of it about the whole for her, the whole trope about being granny but looking the way she does?
I think it's funny. I think it's funny. Yeah. I love characters like that. I think it's very funny.
Well, the most recent scene a lot of people are liking is her reaction to the traveler giving her light novels.
Yeah, like the whole like that was like surprisingly like written out in way more than I thought. Like I thought it was just like, oh, she's like a crazy cat lady who likes to read a lot, but like there's actually like a whole like back thing with these where these novels come from and whatnot. Yeah, they give her a book and she's like, oh my gosh.
Do you play Genshin too?
No, no. Yeah, I wish. I would love to like just watch somebody play because if I play video games with my eyesight, like it would be so. Someone asked me, this was fantastic. Someone was like, "Hey, can you stream Star Rail? Because I'd love to watch you play." And I'm like, I can guarantee you would get bored in like 2 minutes because I would just be dying because I can't like see what I'm doing or read what I'm doing. But oh my God, that would be so funny. No, so I don't play, but I would love to like watch someone like just play through like the story because what we get, there's so little like visualness to what you get in the studio. Like you're lucky if a cutscene has like stick figures. So
Oh, yeah.
you don't really get to like see, the finished product. So sometimes it's just like mind blowing where I'm like, this actually looks really good for like
Hmm.
on a mobile or whatever.
Yeah. What do you think about her relationship with the other characters in that one?
I just think it's like adorable. And I think it's funny that like the player like kind of penetrates through that. Like, is like the one where she's got like a little soft spot. Um, I feel like her relationships with most of them are just kind of on like a professional, like you need something, I need something basis.
Hmm. I personally loved what you did too with Scarlet and Unicorn Overlord.
Oh yeah, I was like surprised at how big that one got too. I was just like, wow, you guys like it? Cool.
Yeah. I suppose in terms of things that you can like safely talk about, that Genshin is probably the most recent thing that's like
Mhm.
out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't like if I'm worried that if I zone in too much on any one game that it's just it's a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been rough over here.
Is there anything that you want to say to the fandom for Komi or Genshin or anything, any of those?
Oh, just anybody who's here on the planet. Like, I'm really proud of you. Like, everybody that you're still here after like 2020, 21, 22, 20, like the last like 4 or 5 years. Like, I may never meet you, but my feet are on the same earth as you, so we're here together. That's not too cheesy.
Have you done very many cons or hope to or?
I haven't done any. I mean, I've done like signing events where I go to like, like a game store, or like Streamily reached out to
Yeah.
me about a year ago, and I've done a handful of events with them, but I have never done a convention. So,
Okay.
not that I wouldn't, I just like, I don't really seek that stuff out. Like, if it happens, if someone, I get messages all the time like, hey, how do we like,
Yep.
get you? And I'm like, well, I think the best way would be to just reach out to the event, and I'm sure they have some sort of like coordinator for guests and whatnot. Yeah, it's not that like I wouldn't do it, it's just I've not been hounded to. So those are just like extras for me. I like having work. That's it. But it's nice to meet people because like fans in general are usually pretty darn appreciative. I did a signing event at a game store that's local here. I had so many people bring me like stuff that they had drawn of like characters that I'd worked on, and like stickers they had made, and like photos, and all of them, I can't take my computer because it's like a desktop. All of them are
Yeah.
on my fridge. Every single
Oh,
one, like with little magnets that I see them every day. Yeah, I'm just like that stuff just like really moves me. So it's like get little gifts. I have just like all kinds of weird little like stickers and cards and drawings, and like I think it's so sweet that people think about that. Like that's just adorable to me.
wasn't that not very long ago? Was that your first ever Streamily signing?
I want to say I've done two, and I think one was last year and
Okay.
one was this year. Yeah, I haven't done like there's some artwork that I have that I want to release to do prints on, but the thing is not out yet. So I'm just like I can't like ugh. I don't want to like release it before. I mean, I can because it's like I've done it. Like I've voiced the thing before, but like I just so, and they do have like agreements with the unions and stuff to do, provided it's not specific, like you're not promoting something.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, like my handler, my wrangler at Streamerly was like, we have like full written letters, like the actors need like alternatives to like support themselves during this time because there's a lot of stuff that just isn't working, isn't recording, isn't, or like it's bad. I'm just like so afraid to talk because I feel like anything I say can and will be used against me. Everybody has a different life story. Everybody needs to do different things, and
Right.
we need to have a place to live and food to eat. And like I want AI protection. Like
Yep.
I don't think that's like should be negotiable in the first place, but it's yeah, I'm like everybody in your little bubble, do what is best for you. I don't judge it by any means because I don't know you, you don't know me. Like it's okay. Everybody's doing their best. It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, the way that I end every interview is asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Make people happy. Like to find comfort in the stuff that I do and not have it be like entertainment that's like all consuming, like where people get into like gaming addictions and stuff, because I've seen what that looks like. Um, where it's just like a nice little escape for like an hour or two and you're comforted and maybe you can find like yourself in a character and know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
That's not too cheesy. As I sniffle up being the Cancer rising that I am.
Have you gotten? I'm sure you have gotten, different kinds of messages about how roles of yours have saved people in some way.
I mean, roles of mine have saved me. Like if I
Yeah.
didn't have March, I would be homeless by now. Just FYI. Like
Okay.
I would not, I would be homeless by now because the pandemic was so um Yeah, I've gotten very, very sweet messages. I mean, I don't think it's anything as intense as like, oh, this role saved me, but there's a lot, like I do get a lot where it's like, hey, like I live alone, which same page club. Like I live alone, I don't like have a ton of friends, I don't, whatnot. I've definitely gotten like some very heartfelt like thanks of like I've gotten where like people will sing like covers or songs or something of stuff and they'll like tweet at me. I don't know if that's the right term. And they'll be like, it would just mean the world to me if, so and so would like respond or like just like this or whatnot. And I'll do like all of the above and I'll follow them and I'll like interact with them regularly. And
Yeah,
it's just so cute. Like, I'm another human. Like I'm glad that it makes someone excited, but I'm like, you don't need to get like I poop too. I'm just like you. Sorry, that's kind of vulgar, but like I love that like it makes people that happy.
yeah,
Like it's not like an ego thing. It's just like a like I love that I have the ability to make you feel that you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if that makes any sense, like without sounding too weird, yeah.
Hmm. Well, I did want to tell you too that as a gay man and someone who has been like messing around with gender identity with myself lately, it does mean a lot to talk to you just because I've been a fan for so long. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's such a weird like I'm just nothing. Like I don't even know what to tell people when they're like, "What are your pronouns?" And I'm like, I don't even my agency calls me an androgynous amoeba, which I just like that's like me. Like that's the I don't know if I hope it's like okay to talk about on your whatever. Like I had top surgery when I was 18, which is
yeah,
the double mastectomy for gender purposes, not for cancer. Um and people are so confused. They're like, "Why? Like you appear female." And I'm like, "Well, that's because I decided to like not do hormones because health-wise I've watched people do that. That really takes a toll on you. And like, I feel like nothing, like a not, neither. So I don't even think that like non-binary fits that because I think that just means like you're agender, I think is the best, like where you're just
yeah,
androgynous and like nothing. And so the world is just crazy.
yeah, right.
Where I'm just like, I don't, and I feel like that's such a trap that can like prey on people that are very confused just about themselves in general. So like when people ask me stuff like that in like interviews, like they even did it on C for me and it has nothing to do with the film. And I'm just so like careful about because I never want to like influence somebody,
Yeah,
but like I'm just like it's okay if you have like no fucking clue. Don't. I'm just like never be influenced into a decision that like you might regret or rush into or whatnot. So,
hmm,
but I totally feel that where I'm just like, I feel like someone who I'm like very kindred with. I don't know if you know who Casey Mongillo.
I've
I don't know how to
interviewed
say his
them
last name.
too. Yeah.
They're like, okay, so we met at the signing that I did for a Unicorn Overlord, and I'm just like, this is my first time meeting you, but I feel like you're probably like the only person in the world that I'm like, we might understand each other. Because it was like sort of like went to transition but like kind of came back but like not all the way, you know what I mean? Like we're
Right.
just
Yeah.
like in that like liquid abyss together and it's just so like endearing. Like I love them so much and I've only
Mm,
met them the one time but we talked a lot, so that's very funny.
yeah.
I hope that was okay that I brought up
Oh,
these
you're yeah.
with permission. Ask for what? Forgiveness, not permission. Forgiveness.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, my pleasure. I hope I didn't say anything that was offensive to any person, place, thing, and hopefully the strike ends soon because I don't love the worry of like I'm just like you should be able to express creativity without being afraid that you're gonna be like homeless.
Right.
Or like, like take a stand if it's like if it's what you believe in. Ugh, I just hope it ends soon because I'm so tired of there. I've gotten so many messages from people and I'm like overwhelmed where I've stopped responding to things that mention the strike because I'm like autistic overwhelm. I'm just like
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to say something at this point. Ooh, that upsets anybody. So
Yeah, well, I hope you have a good rest of your day then.
You too. Thank you so much.